What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 101 of Bettin Boozin. I'm your host, Kyle Ross. No, I'm not. I'm subbing in for Kyle Roscoe. I'm your host, Howard Kravitz. As Kyle Roscoe is gallivanting across the Gulf of Mexico, fighting off hurricanes on his honeymoon. So I'm subbing on in for him tonight. Thanks for joining us as we're going to cover a very good late pick five this Saturday at Churchill Downs, including one win and you're in Breeders' Cup race, another grade stake race. It's just a really nice late pick five. Very excited to talk to you about that. Please listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. We've got a great website, hhhracingpodcast.com. Please check that out. We've got power picks, all sorts of information, which I'll talk about later. Also, very excited tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, the very first premiere show, Pacific Horse Players, host Noah Maher, co-host Ryan Anderson. I'm really excited. Therefore, this show will be a little bit on the shorter side, but make sure you stay till the end because Jim Miller from Hawthorne Racecourse will also be coming on to talk about some exciting races on Thursday, tomorrow night at Hawthorne. But let's just get right into it, folks, because we got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time to do it. So, first of all, from New Jersey, co-host Patrick Kunzel, and from if I don't say it, I'm going to get sued, the Ohio State University, Charlie Freeman. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Doing well. That was a very good impression, by the way.
Do you like? Well, I've got some more lined up for you. Don't just wait and see, guys. Look, before we get into Churchill, real quick, I guess the big news of today's Wednesday, and Patrick, I think you sent it to us first. Not surprised at all. Ador Manor retired. Obviously, won't be running in the Breeders' Cup. So Patrick and Charlie, it looks like it's going to be a matchup between the Grizzly Bear and Idiomatic in the distaff. That's what it looks right now, Patrick, that way.
Yeah, it does, and that's a shame because that would have been a fun matchup to see, especially being out there, kind of like a home field advantage type of thing. So that is tough to see.
Yeah, so Patrick's your video is a little bit shaky, but we'll just keep going, Patrick. I don't know if you can do anything about that, but you're fine audio wise. Just the video is a little bit wonky. Charlie, I was looking forward to betting against Ador Manor. I think both you guys know that, so a little bit bummed because now I'm not going to get the price that I wanted on Torpedo Anna. But hey, it's going to be an unbelievable weekend, obviously.
Yeah, no, completely agree. I mean, for me, I don't think I, would have wanted to bet against the Grizzly Bear, but I'd say for me, it's less about, I think you would agree, Howard, less about ultimately the price you get and more about that at the end of the day, you want to see the best, beat the best. And even though I agree with you, I think Torpedo Anna, beats her anyway. It's still one of those things where, like Patrick said, with the, home track advantage and whatnot, you always want to see everybody in there, but also still a great career to congratulate, Ador Manor on. Nothing to, hang her hat on.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about Ador Manor more tomorrow. I think she was a bit overrated, but obviously had a hell of a career. I just don't think she beat much in general. But anyway, she won a lot of money, and Baffert did a great job with her in general. So, all right, we're gonna move on here. Let's see here. Patrick, you're gonna step off here just for a second. You can go ahead and talk. I see let's see.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
fine.
your audio's been fine the whole time.
It's actually a little better now, the video. So we'll just go with it here. Guys, let's get into Churchill. Churchill Downs. There's a lot of the next 2 weeks, guys, major win in your ins, right? All over the place. New York, California, Kentucky too. So we got to jump right in. This late pick 5 on Saturday's gonna be great. I know you guys know how much I love talking about the weather. The remnants of this hurricane look like it's gonna be in the sort of Midwest or southern Midwest area over the weekend. It's not going to be like horrendous, but I think people need a handicap probably for a wet track at Churchill on Saturday. And by the way, it is Saturday night. A lot of people don't realize that. It's one of those twilight cards they have, guys. So it's going to be Saturday evening is this card. If I said Saturday afternoon, I was mistaken. Let's get right into it, guys. Starts in race 7, the late pick 5, again, Saturday evening at Churchill Downs. It's going to start with a very competitive maiden special weight, $120,000 is the purse, 6 furlongs for the babies. You see, it's a big field of 12. There's also some AEs. More line favorite right now. And guys, look, if I'm going to host Bettin Boozin, I better do my research. So I've got some research, but the correct pronunciation is Sawalu, the number 9, Sawalu. and I have more information on this horse too, because I like to do my homework, like I tell my children at my school, not children, teenagers. This is a 7-2 morning line. Phil Bauer, excuse me, Rafael Bejarano. Let me take off the scrolling banner and let's go ahead and go right to our picks right now. And guys, I'll tell you what, pronounce this horse any way you want. This horse got a little pressure on him because look how we're starting the show. We're all going with the 9. And for our listeners, I'm going to read them off, guys. I'm going 9, 4, 12. Patrick's going 9, 12, 2. Charlie's going 9, 11, 12. Patrick, what do you like about, let me pronounce it right, Sawalu, the 9?
Yes, thank you for saying that for me. Sawalu,
Yeah.
trained by Phil Bauer, who, I mean, he's just kept the hot streak going from Saratoga.
Yeah.
I did look something up over the last 5 years. Bauer is 6 for 19 at 32% with dirt sprinters, 2-year-olds at Churchill, for whatever that's worth. This, and this horse looks to be pretty well meant and has seemed to be training very, very well. So I don't know if we're going to be getting 7-2 on Swallow.
Yeah, we'll see. By the way, a lot of people in the chat, let me just mention, Katie is here. What's up, Katie? Rob thinks it's going to be rain all day on Saturday. Matt wants to thank me for mentioning the post time. You're welcome, Matt. Anything for you, buddy. He also said I should have the 12 if I was doing my homework. What's the name of the 12? Oh, framework, of course. Well, close enough. Let's see here. And James is here. A lot of people here. Charlie, obviously the board is going to tell, but is there anything specific you like about Sawalu?
I just love the workout pattern, and Phil Bauer's been on fire. I think Patrick kind of nailed it for me. You don't want to really bet against a trainer that's getting hot. And when a horse is working this forwardly and you see what his numbers are, for me it's just the one that clearly sticks out. But I do think I'll let Patrick talk a little bit more on it because I have the horse in 3rd and he has the horse in 2nd. But I think the 12 is going to be the other one to watch out for in terms of the other major player, at least for who I think will take money.
Okay, well, let me talk a little about the 9. Guys, I did something that I'm going to start doing more often. It's a little bit hard for people to read, but it's for me. You guys see, I'm making some notes now on the PPs for everyone. There's not a ton of pedigree for Sawalu, to be very honest. I mean, it's Audible, Uncle Mo, but this horse, like you guys said, has been working unbelievable. And how about Phil Bauer, 30% first time on the stat on the bottom of the screen? Did you guys know what Sawalu means or where the name comes from? I know. I was just trying
to not pronounce it. That's where I was at. I would say
I had to look it up. It is a private wildlife reserve, conservation kind of reserve in South Africa. I'm guessing maybe one of the owners went there, and the meaning means rebirth or new beginning. Sawalu.
Oh.
There you go.
Maybe it's a first-time horse, so it's a great name for it.
Maybe this is a new beginning for who knows? Maybe our future Derby horse. I mean, who knows?
Jeez.
I don't know. Let's see. Patrick, you got the 12 second. Charlie, you got the 12 third. Patrick, real quick on what you like about framework. And this is the first time I'm actually seeing the odds. 3-1 Cox, Judmont, obviously, probably live Giroux in the saddle.
Yeah, gets the outside draw for those connections. Your figure's going to show some early speed. Like most of these 2-year-olds do. I just, when it comes to the prices in these 2-year-old races, you kind of just have to watch the board. And this being the first leg of the late pick 5 sequence is definitely going to be beneficial. So I think we'll be able to tell, for me specifically, out of the 9 and the 12, who's taking more money and, who's like the talk
right
going into the race.
Yeah, Matt wants to know if the reservations by Sierra Leone. You don't want me anywhere near Sierra Leone. Anyway, let me just talk about the 4 real quick, and then I know, Charlie, you've got the 11, but I think we're going to, I'll let you talk about the 11. Actually, why don't you do that real quick? You got the 11 second. The Captain Cook. I got some info on this horse, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love you to share info. I mean, for starters, the name is just elite. I mean, I know it's more of a younger person thing, but Howard, how many times we've always talked about cooking up and stuff like that. I'm hoping Captain Cook can cook for me underneath. I just was looking. I didn't want to go chalk, and I have a feeling the 9 and 12 will take all the money, and the 9's the one who intrigues me. So I just think, this 11 horse, isn't all the way on the outside, but gets outside enough that this horse, could clear and work out a decent trip. The trainer numbers with the firsters and on the dirt were honestly better than I was expecting, and the horse's work tab is decent. Really keyed in on the work, 2 back, going a minute flat for 5 furlongs. The connections together obviously aren't going to be as big of a deal as the 9 and the 12s are. But I think this is an interesting one that I could get a decent price with underneath.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of guessing. My notes on the 11, I don't know if you guys can see that there on the right. Nice sprint pedigree. The problem is the progeny of the dam, Charlie, is 0 for 4. So the dam's not really produced much yet, but it's a practical joke. So obviously the horse probably can run. In terms of framework, I said could be very live, but might be better longer. The pedigree for, I know it's Speightstown, but on the dam side for framework, maybe a little bit on the long side. Plus the outside post, a little bit tricky with firsters, right, guys?
Agreed.
Sometimes they break to the outside and it's not necessarily ideal. I just want to quickly mention my second choice, who, okay, give me some of this 20-1, McDude for John Ortiz, who's also very good. This horse, and I'm going to go full screen so you guys can see this maybe. If it's wet, how about this, guys? The 22% on wet dirt for the dam, and the dam was a fast sprinter. The trainer is 14% with firsters, last 5 years, guys. The number 4, McDude, might be quick and might like it wet. And as you guys know, it's a big guessing of these firsters, but some of them take to the wet, some of them don't. Again, we don't know if it's going to be wet, but it very well could be. So watch the board. There's really not much else to say. I think all of us really don't like the horse that have run. You guys can just shake your head. Yes, like in general, right? I think it's probably could be a firster here, but we'll have to see. All right, let's go to the next race, guys. The next race we're going to talk about is race 8. Now, race 8 is very important. Let me take the banners off the screen. Race 8 is a win and you're in, guys. It's the ACAC. It's a grade 3. It's 1 mile, obviously in the chute. So it's a 1-turn mile. This is a very nice field, and the winner of this race gets automatic qualifications to Del Mar and the Breeders' Cup. Field of 7, obvious morning line favorite, $400,000, by the way, is the purse, is Saudi Crown, a very nice horse for Cox and Drew. Let's see where we're going. I'm actually going to try to beat Saudi Crown. I'm going 3-7-1. Patrick's going 7-3-1. And Charlie's going 3-7-1. Charlie, my buddy, we are doing the exact same order. We've all got the same 3, although I'm not sure it's really that obvious. Charlie, I'm going to go to you first. You're going with a horse that I loved last time. So did, I believe, a lot of my co-hosts did.
I know Kyle liked the horse a lot.
Like a lot of people like this horse, and Cagliostro. Wow, what a brutal start, which we're going to show. You'd think he's going to be much better on Saturday.
Yeah, no, the start basically ended any chance he had. I also just thought ahead of time, for a horse that I've actually been on a lot recently, I thought the 7 furlongs, because of the pace that I saw could potentially work out, but I also thought could be a little short. I actually think, getting him back to a mile is exactly the distance he wants to be at, is that mile and a 16th. As you mentioned, right from the start, we sort of knew it was over. I remember talking to Kyle right after. He was like, "Did you see the replay?" I was like, "Yeah, I watched live." As soon as the race started, he already was getting ready to pack it up.
I hate to see this again, but he's the 8 on the outside. I mean, you just, and he's been breaking better lately. So I mean, you just can't do this. We're just going to show it real quick, Charlie. There's not much to really
No
say.
problem. But yeah, he was one I was on 2 back, and really has had consistent high 90s buyer figures and has been in terrific form until that unfortunate break. And for me, this is why it's important to watch replays, is I think it wasn't about the distance and it wasn't about the competition. I just think once the horse missed the break, it was basically over. The horse is working, he's working forwardly, gets back to a distance I like him at. And I think he could sit close enough to Saudi Crown to, not let the horse get too loose and go by.
I have nothing to add there, Charlie. I like the distance. He likes Churchill. The wet, if it's wet, okay, that might be an issue. We'll have to see, but I think he potentially could really trip out here, Charlie. I don't think he's the best horse in the race necessarily, but I think he could really trip out in it, 7-2. I'd be happy with that. Let's talk about Saudi Crown, Patrick. I mean, this is clearly the horse to beat, 4-5. I really liked this horse last year, and when he won the Louisiana grade 3 in January, which was a prep for going over to the Middle East, and I thought he was going to have a huge year. And look, he ran great to Senior Buscador and Ushba in the Saudi Cup when the race sort of fell apart, and he still hung around for third. The Godolphin Mile was a complete disaster. He didn't break great. Maybe he came back a little too quick. Now they've given him a little bit of a break. I have to admit, I have to do some reading. I don't know why, Patrick. It's slightly concerning, But I did think he ran a nice comeback race at Alice with a 93 buyer. That was clearly just a tightener for this one and maybe going forward.
Yeah, and that's what my thinking was kind of, you come back from being overseas and you really don't know how the horse is going to react and, what's the horse going to do after that race. So I thought that was fine race. And, we'll get the outside draw here. And should sit the perfect trip on the lead, I would think. I do understand why you guys are trying to beat Saudi Crown. But I just think it's a tough customer and is obviously the class of the field in this spot.
Oh, there's your 3 technique. That's your old buddy, Patrick, isn't it? I believe. Didn't you
from
that
from
horse?
the clouds in the what was that?
Yes.
The Churchill Downs. Yeah, that didn't end up transpiring, but that's all right.
Yeah. Now look, I think this race really evolves. Now there is some other speed in the race, especially actually the only really main speed in this race is this horse. Now Mufasa, great name. Mufasa is cross-entered guys at Belmont. Or Aqueduct. I have not heard details on where he's going. This to me, it makes a huge difference. In fact, I wrote in my notes, if Mufasa is not running in this race, I actually would pick Saudi Crown guys on top. I think Saudi Crown is absolutely gone. If Mufasa is in this race, to me, that could be a major problem for Saudi Crown because I think this horse is fast and getting really good. And I've got a little trivia, a little riddle about this horse. Are we ready for the Mr. Kravitz riddle? Why? Everyone listen at home now. Think about this now. You got to thinking caps. Why does Mufasa have trouble telling the truth? Because he's a lion.
Ha!
Oh boy.
Okay. Anyway, see, you don't get that from Roscoe. I love the Lion King. I mean, come on. This horse could be a major factor, though, right, Patrick?
I think Matt Miller said it before you even finished what you were
Did
saying.
He? Oh man, that's all right. I'm not looking at Matt Miller's comments. Correct, Patrick. Though fast could be a problem for Saudi if he's in.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, this horse has been impressive. And has shown tremendous speed. So I do think could be a problem. But yeah, if this horse does not draw in, this field seems to kind of crumble a little bit on us.
Yeah, listen, Matt always got to take credit.
He was
for
all over that.
Terry, you know you're laughing. I know Terry Frank is laughing right now at home in St. Louis. I know you're laughing. All right. Hey, James thought it was funny. There we go. All right. Anyway, I couldn't help myself, guys. Seriously, really good horse and fascinating. If he goes, I'm curious to see what happens. Last thing, we'll move on. I've got mad love for Tumbarumba in general.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
hate
look at these
this horse.
buyers, guys. This is insane. I mean, 96, 95, 95, 97, 97. I mean, this horse is consistent as hell. He can win this race if it works out, Charlie.
Oh yeah, no, he certainly can. It wouldn't be the first time that he surprised at a price. Unfortunately, I have a really bad memory with this one, but no, I think Tumbarumba is a very game horse, one of those just that will always run. I mean, look, the horse has finished. Well, he's finished 12 out of 15 times in the money, so there'll be a good effort. The horse, he can save ground on the rail for sure. And the other thing I think that's interesting, Howard, which is the only reason I wasn't fully worried about the 4 being in or not, is we know Luis Saez's best ability is how aggressive he can send. And for me, I think it's one of those things where, especially if the 4 scratches out, then I think it completely changes tactically. And I think Luis sends, because I think everybody knows in that field, if you just let Saudi Crown go do a paid workout and get loose, and especially for when you're in, what are we doing here? I think he would save the ground on the rail and at least try to, stay close enough regardless.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on Saturday with the scratches. And I saw your comment, Patrick, in our private chat, and where now I got to find it. But Kyle Roscoe is, and there we go. There we go. Kyle Roscoe. Boys, what's up? Thanks for covering for me. Em and I are having a blast on St. Thomas Island. Wow. On the Virgin Islands as we speak. So they're safe. They're south and directions and east of the hurricane. So I think they're going to be fine. I'm glad there's no issues there. But what's up, Kyle? If you're still listening and watching, thanks for joining the show. Man, get off the show and just enjoy the vacation, man. But we do appreciate you jumping on. All right, let's get to the next race, gentlemen, right now. Next race right here, race 9. This is a nice allowance race. It's for 2-year-olds, and they're going a mile and a 16th, field of 7. Moreline favorite is the number 5, Good Cheer. Cox and the aforementioned Saez that Charlie just mentioned. It's interesting. This is an allowance race for 2-year-olds. They're starting to card that as well. Here's our picks on the bottom of the screen. Again, very similar. I'm going 5-7-6. Patrick's going 5-4-6. Charlie's going 4-5-6. Patrick, this is one of my plays of the day. I know he's 7-5, and look, I'm not saying anything really cute here. I think Good Cheer could be a nice 2-year-old.
Yeah, was definitely impressive. Winning at Horseshoe Indy first time out, so that definitely have that going for us. And the 7-5 morning line, which I did not realize until now, until you said that. So that's kind of interesting that I'm picking chalk here, but that's fine. And I
wait, is that an honor of Kyle? Is that an honor of Kyle, or you just
that was actually really touching, Pat? That was really touching.
Yeah, no, I think it might be. I think we're all going to kind of just divert to everything that we say that has some translation to do with Kyle. We're just going to talk about that. But
100%.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Great. I can't do it very well, guys. God.
Yeah, no, but I would love to hear what you have to say about Good Cheer, because obviously the buyer came back to be, obviously high 50s, which is fine, especially for a field that we don't know how great it was. But I would love to hear the angle that you have, why this horse makes it one of your best bets on the card.
Speaking of Good Cheer, I've got a good cheer. No, I'm not going to start cheering. I think Patrick, I got to ease off on the White Claw. Look,
time to just start.
Well, no comment. Look, there's not much to show here other than this horse was really impressive. Remember, this was a first-time starter here, Patrick. And Charlie, he took, we don't see this, but she, right? Yeah. She took some dirt before we were watching this now. She angles out and she just blows by the field. Now, I don't know what's in behind her, guys, to be very honest. I don't think it's very much, but she's really professional. And this is something that you have to pay attention to 2-year-olds, right? Jocko's right-handed. She's as straight as a string, Charlie, right? Like there's no lugging in. There's no lead switch issues. I just think that's very impressive. She's sort of in hand late. She probably could have gone a little bit faster. And she just did everything you want, Charlie, that, out of a 2-year-old. Again, it's not always necessarily about the time and the fig. It's how they do it, at least for me with 2-year-olds.
No, I completely agree. And look, when we get to best bets later, you'll see, even though I don't have this horse on top, I still have a lot of respect. The main angle, I guess, for me to go with a different one on top is just kind of like what you mentioned. I mean, it's a Godolphin bred and owned Brad Cox horse that's 7-5 morning line. I have to imagine you're getting that or shorter. And for me, even though this horse absolutely could win, I question what she beat in a maiden special weight at Horseshoe. So if I can find, a little bit better of a price, and I think I'll get every bit of 5-1 on Chattanooga Crew, I'll take a chance. This one ran in the Pocahontas, a race that we covered, and I know our show did very poor on because we were all over a horse who I believe actually ended up getting dead last, which was not ideal. The 13 horse, I'm blanking on the name right now, but I don't even want to know because it's going to spring.
It wasn't a 2-buyer, was it, Charlie?
I hope not. It was Kimchi Cat, by the way. I just was trying to pretend I didn't know the name. But anyway, yeah, that race just kind of fell apart the moment it started. It was a bunch of horses running, 6 furlongs that they tried to quickly all stretch to a mile, and every single horse wanted it to be a 6-furlong race. And then naturally, the horses who understood it wasn't were able to take advantage and close up. But for me, what I keyed in on with Chattanooga Crew was the effort 2-back. I understand it was a maiden optional claiming, and that's not some major field. But what I liked is the horse kind of inherited the lead, because as you can see with the blue figures, for me, I don't think this is one that needs the lead by any means, but really won professionally going away and pretty effortlessly was able to get away. And for me, that kind of signals that this is one that I still believe can handle the distance. I know it was on a different surface, but even the debut, was going a mile. So I think this is one that can handle the distance. And yeah, again, the figures aren't anything amazing, but also if you're giving me 5-1 versus 7-5 on a horse that I think she has upside and potential and is working well, I'm willing to take a chance on her. I think she could be interesting.
It's fair. You make good comments. Matt Miller said, "Listen up, people." When Howard gives in and takes the favorite, it's a solid favorite. Matt Miller, you listening? Send it in on Good Cheer. I want to, Charlie. I want to address. And by the way, Good Cheer is going to be 4-5, guys. But you know what? I got to be honest. Even money might be value. I know that sounds crazy with a 2-year-old, but I think there's more to this horse. And Charlie, I want to mention for you and everyone else, and for Patrick. Brad Cox has started some nice horses at Indiana Grand, so I wouldn't at Horseshoe Indy. Sorry, I wouldn't take that as a big negative. I mean, he's stable in Kentucky, right, guys? So there's no Churchill. So it's either Ellis or Indy. Sometimes he wants to start them in Indy. I think it's a surface thing. All I'm saying is I wouldn't say it's necessarily a negative, Charlie. But that being said, the competition wasn't as good for her. I do
Right.
like
No,
the
that was
fact
more of my concern. Yeah.
right. I do like the fact she's gotten time off though, Charlie. Like, do you like that? Like, you know, and you're 4. Normally, I wouldn't like the quick turnaround, Charlie, but the fact that McPeak puts her right back in has got to give you a little confidence, right? Otherwise, if there was something wrong, he wouldn't run her back in 2 weeks.
No, 100%. I also know he's one, where he's talked about with obviously much more high profile horses than this one, but where he's talked about how important he values rest and making sure he doesn't rush them in. So to me, that just signals that he truly believes that, it was just a very unfortunate race to be a part of when they were treating it like a sprint and the horse is just fine.
I mean, Patrick, I don't want to give you short shrift. You got the horse second to 4. I mean, I assume you're thinking the same thing, that there's something, if something happened in the Pocahontas injury wise or whatever, then McPeak wouldn't run her back in 2 weeks. Clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. Ditto what Charlie said, 100%. That's exactly what I was thinking here. And listen, that horse did not run well and obviously was a long shot in that race. So I think could bounce back in that spot.
I hear you. Guys, it is so appropriate that the next race is the Lukas Classic after what D. Wayne Lukas, who's over 90 years old, guys, did with Seize the Gray in the Penn Derby. I mean, he deserves a lot of races named after him. It's absolutely incredible. This is not a win you're in. I want to repeat that. This is not a win in you're in, but it is a $500,000 race for a mile and eighth. And in theory, guys, this is a prep for the Breeders' Cup Classic. The morning line favorite is the number 6 Hit Show for Cox and Drew. Second choice is a horse that I've actually followed quite a bit in his career and I've scored a bunch of times on. The number 2 Rattle and Roll for McPeak and Hernandez, who's making his comeback after a long layoff. I'm going 6-5-4. Patrick is going 6-5-8. Charlie's going 5-6-2. So we're going a lot with the 5 and 6. I would say chalking out, guys, but not really because Rattle and Roll is 5-2 morning line. I got a feeling Charlie's going to drift up from that. Charlie, you're the one that is not going with Hit Show. You're going to go with Disarm. And if you've been watching Picks and Ponies, Charlie, I've been chasing Disarm a little bit, and I've been disappointed with him, although he's been in very tough spots. This is a much better spot for him.
Yeah, I just think for me, this is one where I haven't really been on or off the horse. It's just been, one where I've been monitoring him. But I think he really hasn't put a foot wrong or done any poor efforts. I think the reality is, like, look, the last 2 races was 12.5 to 1 and ran a respectable 3rd and 4th against horses much better than these, in my opinion. I don't mind the blinkers off because, they are, cutting back a little shorter. And I assume he is, going to be a little more off the pace as he's one who's been doing more distance-based racing. But I also think he's a bit of a tactical and versatile horse where if there isn't enough pace, like, you saw in that optional claiming weak Churchill race where, there wasn't pace who went to the lead. I think Tyler G will work out a nice trip. I also personally see it as a major jockey upgrade. But I think he can find a good trip for Disarm and really take advantage of that versatility where if they're not going that fast, I think he can sit within a length or 2 and make sure to not let, Hit Show or anyone else get loose. And if they are going quick, he's shown the ability to sit off the pace in the past. And I just think this is a easier spot. He's getting some nice class relief. And I mean, again, not that I'm someone who's chased the horse, so I can't say maybe this is finally the spot, but I do think this is a great spot that Asmussen has found for Disarm to, get back on track.
2 things for you, Charlie. Number 1, I'm shocked he didn't take the 4 on top based on the name. Very, very disappointed. Number 1 with Cook Creek. But number 2, Patrick, isn't Disarm used to be ridden by a guy that just made the Hall of Fame? I think Charlie's got some early Gulfstream Tyler G love going. But in all honesty, Charlie, Tyler G is a top 5 rider probably in the country right now. But Patrick, I think Charlie's gotten Rosario'd a few many times this summer.
Yeah, I would think so. The fact that we are bashing him because of riding Disarm. But no, that's fine. Disarm, Howard, and I know you've been on the horse last couple times. The horse obviously was 12 to 1 the last 2 times, but it's just difficult to watch the horse run, a decent or a good race and just not deliver. I don't know. I don't know what your opinion is on it. Like, this horse can win and can go right in the winner's circle on Saturday. I don't know.
Look, I mean, he's been facing Arthur's Ride, Kingsbar, and Highland Falls. He just leaves himself too much to do, Patrick. I mean, maybe he's just facing too much shot competition. You know, I mean, it took a little time to get back to his better form. I don't know. I just, like you said, he's been 12-0, and that's why I sort of liked him a little bit, right? Now he's going to be 5-2. I mean, you really want to take that price on him, although I'm not leaving him off my ticket. I can tell you that. I really like Hit Show quite a bit, Patrick, and you have him on top too. I'll let you talk about Hit Show first. 2-1 is the morning line favorite. I'm not sure how low he's going to be. Came back from a long break and is 2 out of 3. I think you just tossed the Cornhusker. Just didn't like Iowa, didn't work out well, etc. I thought his run up the rail at Mountaineer was pretty impressive, and I think he's still got a lot of upside in him, to me.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but after watching the race at Mountaineer, like my first inclination watching it for the first time was like, oh, this horse got a dream trip and stuff like that. But going in between horses and things like that, I really did believe the horse did run well, and that 97 buyer was well worth it there. And I think that should stick right in this race, you know, should stick out very big. And, you know, I don't know about you, but the type of trip
He's the gray on the inside. Sorry to interrupt you. Getting a good trip, but, you know, he has come up the inside, Patrick, and generally speaking, the inside is not the place to go at Mountaineer. Like, look how wide these other horses are. So people think, wow, he saved all the ground. It's not necessarily the best place to be at Mountaineer.
Yeah, and to, you know, go on top of that point even more, it's like you kind of see in the stretch here, like you think Hit Show is going to just start stretching out a lot here, and it doesn't. So you wonder the inside if there is something to that there. So yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah, but he really stuck on well, and I don't really think he was in jeopardy of losing that race. And I don't know what kind of price we're going to get, Patrick, but to me, I think he could really trip out. Let me quickly just show the pace projector, and then we're going to get on to the we'll talk about one or two other horses and move on to the last race, which is a complete cluster. If this is right, the 4 will be literally cooking on the front. I'm hoping Hit Show is more aggressive, Patrick, and just sits off. I think Hit Show could be more like where my arrow is right now, and I think he's better than the 4, and I think he'll go by, and I think the distance suits. I'd be actually quite interested to see if he goes to the Breeders' Cup Classic if he wins. Now, Godolphin's already got Highland Falls, Patrick, but look, I don't think Hit Show would embarrass himself. He's not going to win the Classic, but if he runs his best, I don't know. I'm just curious to see what they do with him going forward. Although I don't have any intel, guys. I just don't know what they're going to do if he wins, Patrick.
Yeah, no, that would be cool if he could make it to the Classic, because, you know, Hit Show was very popular back in his 3-year-old year.
Real quickly with Rattle and Roll, Charlie, coming off a very long layoff. He's won off layoffs before, but not a year layoff. This just feels awfully preppy to me for something else.
No, I think that's completely fair. I just was respecting, you know, what the horse has been, what the figures have shown, and, you know, what his ability's been, as well as the fact that, you know, from a workout tab perspective, you know, McPeak seems to have him ready to work, ready to roll with those last 2 works. I just agreed with you. I think, you know, the layoff is the big concern for me, but I see enough talent that I would include the horse at least in my top 3. But I think, you know, playing the horse wise, I would need to see the odds, because I think you'll get more than 5-2, but I wouldn't want to touch the horse at anything less than probably 5-1, to be honest with you, off that layoff.
I would agree. Let's go to the penultimate leg, guys. We're going to do this quickly because this is an absolute cluster race.
Oh, it's brutal.
Can be coming on in like 5 minutes as well. We will get to our top best bets really quick also. Race 11, there's our picks on the bottom of the screen. It's an impossible main special. It's actually for older horses. It's also for horses, guys, that sold at auction for 50,000 or less. That's why the sales prices are nothing special. It's a huge field 11. The morning line favorite is the rail horse. No, it's not. It's number 7, Bourbon Boss, for Riley Mott and Christian Torres. I'm going 5-9-4. Patrick's going 8-4-7. Charlie going 7-1-5. Guys, just very quickly on your top picks. Pat, you're going to go with the 8, Mischievous M, who I know you like quite a bit in this spot.
Yeah, you know, I was just trying to find a price in this spot. You know, what the race has to offer here. I think obviously, you know, the trainer has this horse coming out of a race, you know, that was on the 15th of September. And we were just kind of talking about the McPeak horse earlier on about that. And I think, you know, there's some confidence in this horse. This horse ran pretty well. You know, when the horse has been on the lead, has run pretty encouragingly. So I'm going to give this horse another chance. I'm not sure what the pace is going to be like in this spot, because we do have a lot of 2-year-olds in here. So you do figure it could be pretty fast. But I'll take my chances with a horse on the front end.
It could be hot, but he is projected to be on the lead which there's nothing wrong with that, Patrick, but there is quite a bit of speed inside, and we'll have to see. I'm using him. I don't like 0 for 5, to be honest. I don't like the fact that he's lost already in maiden claiming, but this is a restricted race, so it's not your normal, it's easier than your maiden special rate. You're going to go with the favorite Bourbon Boss, Charlie, another very fast horse. Oh, what a shocker, Patrick, coming in from Gulfstream. When does that championship meet at Gulfstream start, Charlie? You got to wait till December 1st, but talk about Bourbon Boss.
Yeah, and of course, if you wanted to double up on it, the two horses I was torn between is the 7 and the 1, who, shocker, is another Gulfstream horse. Look, with Bourbon Boss, I think what's just been tough is this one just can't stop running into difficult horses. Ran against Can Group on debut, then has to see Ador Manor. And for me, honestly, that effort going 6 furlongs on the dirt at Churchill was the most impressive effort visually. Then they decided, then the horse ran on the slop, which clearly, he did not take to, and then chose to go switch to a sprint on turf, which I thought at the time looked questionable and has certainly been the case. Granted, his run against some decent Gulfstream horses. Silent Heart's been solid. I know Refuel, I remember watching that race, was very solid on debut. So I just like that they're getting this horse back to the dirt, back to 6 furlongs, where we haven't gotten to see much, but the effort was impressive. And then I'll briefly touch on the 1 and let you go into your 5. The thing I thought was interesting with the 1, not just kind of like what you were talking about, Howard, how you don't like the horses with a lot of races that we've already seen, but Velociraptor set some outrageous fractions and still stayed on the whole way. I know we call it Gulfstream Speedway sometimes, but 21 and 9 and 45 and 7. Yeah. I mean, when I watched that race visually, it looked as if Miguel Vasquez was thinking they were in a 5 furlong sprint on the dirt and was just like, let's go for it. And then realized there was still another furlong and the horse still stayed on and now gets to save some ground on the rail. So I think that one could be a little interesting too.
I watched that replay. There was a 3-way speed duel. What I don't like about Velociraptor, and who, by the way, is going to try to eat up the competition. What I don't like him, guys, is this horse has got to be like 8,000 years old. I mean, he was probably born in like 5,000 BC or something. So I don't like Velociraptor. I know he's a 3-year-old, but anyway, he's fast. I'm going to take a complete stab on number 5, General Issue, guys. My thought here with General Issue, I'm actually surprised 5 to 1. I thought he'd be higher. Is he looks like he can pass. I know he's off a long layoff. I like Brian Cook. He's an underrated trainer. The horse is working well, and and the breeding actually is good for wet. So I'm just taking a stab. I would never take 5 to 1 on General Issue. I thought this horse was gonna be like 10 to 1, to be honest, but that's where I'm going, guys, in a complete cluster wide open race to end the sequence. Let's take a look at our best bets right now for this late pick 5. Well, that's not what I want. I want that. And then I want to go to banners, and I'm talking through my directing. Okay, here we go. Charlie, very quickly, you're going to go with the 9 horse in the 9 horse in race 7 to win. And then you're going to go double 3 with 4, 5, 30 seconds on your best bets here.
Yeah, I just think this Phil Bauer horse looks to be could potentially be a monster. Obviously, we have to see where the money goes, but I'm intrigued. We talked a lot about Cagliostro, in race 8 and why I think the horse could potentially pull off the upset and beat Saudi Crown and sit a nice trip. And then going into the last one again, I know how much you love Good Cheer, and I completely agree. I think if I can get it, I could get a nice double by playing against Saudi Crown. And then again, and if I want an even nicer double and Good Cheer were to lose, I think Chattanooga Crew could be an interesting price.
Hey, go to Tennessee, bet Chattanooga Crew. You'll be all good. Patrick, you're going to go race 7 also, a pick 3. You're going to go 3 by 1 by 2, 2, 9, 12 with 7 with 4, 5, 7 is Saudi Crown, correct?
Correct. Yeah, definitely play a press up with the not. We could go a straight pick 3 if you want there with Swallow, Saudi Crown, and Good Cheer. If you'd like to do that in pick 3. And I just like, those 2-year-old races, like to add a couple horses sometimes just because you don't know. Could catch a price. And then in the 11th, Mischievous M, win place, 10 to 1 morning line. See if we can catch a price in that.
Oh, right. I had that too. Sorry. It's on the screen. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, good. Wide open affairs. And then what does the boss have?
I don't know. What do you guys think I did?
Something around the 5, big double. Maybe
I should have signed with Mufasa after that horrible joke, but I did not. Guys, I feel Matt Miller. I really like this double, guys, a lot. And I know it's a little bit chalky, but I don't think it's like super chalky. I think I'm going to get 4 to 5 over 5 to 2, maybe 8 to 1 on my double. I'm hoping, guys. I might be wishful thinking. Race 9, that is a 5, 6, just cold punch double. That's Good Cheer into Hit Show. Hit Show's got to run well though, guys, because Disarm Disarm's gonna win now after I've been chasing him, Patrick, the last 2 times. But I do like Hit Show, so I'm just gonna go Good Cheer over Hit Show. Guys, been a real pleasure. Before you leave, let's go ahead and quickly. Well, you guys are gonna quickly say hello. I'm gonna say hello a lot longer with Jim, the director of racing. It's been a minute since I've been able to chop it up with the ponies with Jim Miller. I'm very excited. Let's bring him on right now, director of racing from Hawthorne Racecourse, Mr. Jim Miller. Jim, the old game. We're back. How you doing? Uh-oh.
It's good to see you guys. I like Charlie saying the Saints are going 16-1. So 16-1. Charlie, they're good. They're very good, man.
Well, I have the 17-0, and I'll be honest, it lasted a week longer than I was expecting. I thought we were going to lose to the Cowboys, but unfortunately, I do have to update it now.
Hey, so, Charlie, you want to read that on the chat? You want to read at the bottom real quick, Charlie?
Yeah, thank you, Charlie, on the Saints call. I mean, I'll tell you what, they were an upset pick against the Cowboys, so at least I got that right. And now our entire team is in the hospital. So I don't know. It might end up being 14-2, but I'm hoping I can keep it at 16-1 for at least another week.
That. Taysom Hill's my fantasy tight end, so this is a guy that I'd like to get back and get back healthy very quickly.
Oh yeah, he's every position on the field. I'd love him to be healthy.
Yeah, Jim's got some Patrick Wi-Fi going. Jim, I think it's me. I know you went on and off again. I will see how it goes. I can hear you okay, but the video is a little bit dodgy. We're gonna let Patrick and Charlie go, guys. How's that for timing? Pretty good, not bad. Enjoy the night, gentlemen. Thanks, and hey, check out Pacific Horse Players real quick for everyone. Everyone's like, what's gonna happen with Noah? Noah is still gonna be on Bettin Boozin, guys, once in a while. But Charlie and Patrick, I just think, he thinks he's too big time. I mean, he's done with you guys. He's just, Noah, really arrogant, not a really nice kid.
He was just tired of getting cooked by me.
He's tired of being wrong with his picks on Bettin. Can't handle the heat you guys are bringing on Bettin. No, seriously, Noah will be on with you guys for Bettin Boozin once in a while. But check out Pacific Horse Players as he hosts tonight at 9. Patrick, Charlie, take care, guys. Thanks. Have a great night.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, bye-bye. All right, my friend Jim Miller. Good to see you, man. Good to talk to you. I know we had a very brief interlude, a few weeks ago when I popped on. We know what happened when that was when Kyle's speaking of internet went out.
Yep.
I believe. Before we get into the 3 races we're going to talk about tomorrow at Hawthorne, we're going to talk about all dirt races, and you can give an update on the turf course because you're the one that actually makes these kind of decisions. Weather's clearing out a little bit. What's new at Hawthorne? Give me a quick update on just anything in general.
Well, I mean, the main thing is we're just kind of winding down for the meet, Howard. And I guess the biggest thing is everybody's getting in those last couple of starts. But what you're going to start to see, too, is horsemen are coming in from Canterbury. Horsemen are coming from Prairie Meadows. And then you're seeing some turf horses coming from Kentucky because there's no turf racing at Churchill Downs. So with that, you're going to see some bigger fields. The Carey Memorial is a great $150,000 stake that we drew today for Sunday. It's a field of 12 in there. When you get a look at that field, it's a really, really good bunch. A lot of graded stakes horses in that field. So that's something to look forward to as things wind down for the meet. As you mentioned with the weather, we had a lot of rain that rained us off the turf Sunday, 2 inches of rain on Monday. So even though things have been clearing out the last couple of days, just with the big card on Sunday coming up and with the turf races and that, we're not going to be on the turf course tomorrow.
Smart.
So kind of planning.
I've now looked at the race Sunday. I'm guessing
go from there.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Again, the Wi-Fi is a little bit. I haven't looked at the entries. I'm guessing Mr. Block has got a few in that race.
He's got a couple in there, and the things that's interesting about it, I mean, he's got horses that again are stakes winning race horses.
Yeah.
That are probably going to be 10 or 12 to 1 in that field. And that's the
Crazy.
thing that is going to make that a really tough field, but it's a good race. You'll see it when you get a look at the card for Sunday.
I'm excited. Well, because people know, well, actually, I don't know if people really know. I haven't really talked about it much lately, but I do cover Hawthorne Racecourse on their website. I give a late pick for every race day. I've been doing it for the entire meet practically. So it's been fun, Jim. We had some nice winners. And you and I, sometimes we're the same. Sometimes we're a little different. Tonight, I think you're going to find our picks very interesting. Let's just get into it very quickly. We're going to talk about race 4, 6, and 8. These are all races tomorrow night, or tomorrow late afternoon, whatever, early evening. On Thursday, these are all dirt races. Let me go right to it. I'm just going to go right to the PPs. Jim, race 4, we're going to start. You're going 6, 8, 1. I'm going 8-6-1. We are going with the same 3. Let me go ahead and bring this race up right now. This is an interesting 5.5 furlong race for 2-year-olds, and it's maiden 25. It's not special weight, which I always find a little bit tricky, to be honest. And I'll explain why in a minute. You're gonna go with Man of Quality coming in from Indiana at Horseshoe, and then most recently at FanDuel downstate.
And the thing about it, just the progression of the races has been very solid for Man of Quality, Howard. But the thing with this race, too, is there's a good amount of early pace. So you need somebody to come from a little bit off the pace in this race. I think Man of Quality is a horse that can do so. You look up and down the field, you have Larry Ravelli in here. You have Wayne Catalano in here, Joel Burt. They may overlook the Don Martin horse a little bit, so you might get a little bit better value. But the other thing, too, is the presence of E.T. Baird being back. Changes the complexion of almost every race he's in. So he rides the 5 best dressed man in here. And what that means is there's probably another horse that's going to show speed in this race. So I think there's 4 that go for the lead. And I just think this is a horse, a Man of Quality, that just kind of races and starts picking off some horses in the lane.
I apologize as a host for not knowing. What's been the ET story? He hasn't been riding somewhere else? Was he injured? Real quick.
No, just a little bit of time away. He came back. Okay. He was getting ready to start the meet, and at the start of the meet, he just kind of said, my head's not right, so I want a little bit of time. And he took some time coming back, and the stewards worked with him, and he said, hey, I want to work some racehorses. I want to get fit. I want to get ready. And everything's just kind of been a smart, slow progression to get back. He wanted to get back before the meet's over, and Sunday was his first day back. He finished 3rd on his first mount back, and he's riding 3 on Thursday's card.
I mean, if you're not familiar with Chicago racing, absolute legend. And the guy's probably the best gate rider maybe I've ever seen. Yeah. I mean, he's that good. I hear you with the speed, Jim, and look, this horse could be horrible. Number 8, Mark My Memory, who was my top choice. But on time form, he's supposed to clear. And in a race that I just don't trust a lot of horses, I think if he can clear for Joel Burnt and Reyes, I think he's going to be tough. It's a big question mark. Also, Burnt's much better second time out, and I took that into consideration. There's also the drop, which I suppose you could say is a negative, but I don't know. It's a guess. I wouldn't take a low price on Mark My Memory, but I'm just going to go. I'm hoping he wires the field, Jim. I don't feel real strongly about it, though.
Well, they were high on this horse going into that debut. They took the time to school the horse in the paddock leading into the debut. They took some action in that spot, sent off at 9-2. As you see, this was a horse that was still holding the lead at the top of the stretch against a pretty good field. Baby Boat was a good winner in that last spot. Now you're getting the class drop. You're going to show speed. You will get a little bit better price. And I think things kind of line up just for a bit of a better performance. But yeah, that was a solid race that the horse is coming out of there in that last out. And that's the reason I picked this horse second in this spot.
Yeah, Baby Boat, the winners of Vino Rosso. That horse should be able to stretch out. Yeah. That could be a nice one. Could be a horse to pay attention to going forward. Let's go to race 6. Race 6. Jim and I are both going to go with the 1. Jim's going 1-4-2. I'm going 1-8-4. Race 6 is a condition claimer, 12-5, non-winners of 2 against 6 furlongs on the dirt. And we want some money. And because we want money, Jim knows where I'm going with that. We're going to go with Quiero Dinero. Working on my Spanish a little. Want money. What a great name. One of the few horses in this race, Jim, that can close. This is not some kind of, wizard kind of selection here. I just see a ton of speed, and I see one horse who has the ability to close, and it's this one. Sorry to steal your thunder. I'm assuming you're thinking the same thing.
We see it the same exact way. I'm shocked you don't have Peggy's Way in your top 3, though, Howard. But
we don't own her anymore, though, Jim.
Oh, I know that, but I still figured you'd have her in the mix.
Nah, right. Sorry, Peggy.
Backstage Pass, Problematica, Peggy's Way, Blue Lily, all are going to show speed in here. Quiero Dinero is the one horse that should come from out of it. This is a horse that got off slowly in that last out and then still came running late. But there's a lot of pace. Crystal Snow is an interesting racehorse because here's the thing. You look back at Crystal Snow, the 4-horse, 6 straight starts with trouble lines, and they're all at the start. So that's the thing. Get away from the gate, and you might be okay because this is a horse that could be a factor. But every single thing is just you see bolted turns, steadied early, tardy, bump start, lunge start. Every little thing that this horse could do wrong is done wrong. But that's the horse that could be a factor. But Quiero Dinero just provides a little bit better value, and I think you and I are on the same page there.
Jim, it's almost like the chart caller looked in his dictionary And like how many different ways can I explain bad starts? Let's see, lunge,
Right.
tardy, blah blah. I mean, we've seen crazy short comments, but yeah, you're right. I mean, getting out of the gate, if you can't get out of the gate, that's a major problem. Also, 1 for 28, as I like to say, no bueno. But I do have the horse third because look, again, this race could completely melt down. You said there's speed. I like Peggy's Way. I just think there's too much speed in this race. I mean, Problematica is going to be exactly that for Peggy's Way. And then you got Backstage Pass, who, I mean, what is this horse going to do? So, boy, it sure looks like this could be a meltdown, Jim.
I'm with you. I think it's a meltdown type of race. You got a drying out racetrack, and that's the thing. And usually with a drying out racetrack, it plays relatively evenly. If anything, maybe a little bit back, unlike a very dry racetrack. So because of that, I think it's going to set things up for some horses to come from out of it.
Then again, Jim, I know Hawthorne's not Parks, but I think we've seen a few races in our day, sir, where it sure looks like the race could melt down, seize the gray. And what happened? So, you know what's going to happen. Someone's going to Peggy's going to wire the field in the 8th, and someone's not going to go. But look, we have a few minutes here, Jim. I'm going to just a quick side thought.
Yeah.
What is it? And I was listening to some, I listened to a few other podcasts I respect. I don't know if you find it this way. I'm not talking about Hawthorne, but in general, it just doesn't seem like you see as many pace duels and speed duels that you used to see 10, 15 years ago. I mean, we're breeding for speed, right? We want to get 9 and change at the sales, and then they don't use the speed. It's just, I have to say, as a handicapper, and I bet, quite often on the weekends especially, I got to tell you, it's getting increasingly frustrating. I just don't know where to vent my frustration. So, Jim, I'll vent it to you and ask you what the blank is going on.
People aren't thinking or they're overthinking. And here's the best way to think about it. We'll use Larry Ravelli as an example. And we've talked about Larry in the past. The majority of Larry's horses are speed horses, and they win on the lead. And Larry has made it very clear. If you're on the front, you're not dealing with traffic. You're not dealing with kickback. You're not dealing with wide trips. You're not dealing with any of that. You're usually the shortest way around, the cleanest trip around. So let's get the horse to that point where you can get that trip and then get a rider that is going to give you that trip. That's why he's ridden ET for so many years. That's why he has some other very assertive riders from the gate. And you're right. I think especially looking at that race 4 and even looking at some of these others, people will look and almost over handicap from the start and then say, oh, well, we better take back. And then 3 of the 4 say, well, we better take back. And then all of a sudden somebody's out there on the front end. But if you look really, Howard, the most exciting race to watch is that deep closer that comes from the way back and wins. If you look at the percentage for how rarely those horses win, it's so low. It's less than 10% for horses that are coming from last or second to last in the first call. Yet when you look at what the percentage is for if you're sitting first or second, it's so much higher. So you just have to change your handicapping tendencies and that kind of stuff. And they're perfect example.
Oh man, I gotta grab the button, Jim. Look, I hear you. There's a lot of grabbing and looking around. I don't know. If you have a speed horse, you just go and take your chances, man. Anyway, let's talk about Princess Tenko, who I'll tell you what, Jim, I feel much better about this horse now that you have this horse on top. I found this race 8 tomorrow on Thursday be very difficult. And I'm just hoping this horse can be better back on the stretch out. There's one of 2 things that are going on with Princess Tenko. Either she's in just bad form and is going to run poorly, or what we're hoping is she just wants to get back to 2 turns, because if she runs her last 2 races, she has no chance.
She needed 2 turns, and I really think that's what it is. I think he got a little bit more flattered in the spot, and that Joel Campbell is going to scratch the 5 Jocelyn, and he entered that horse for Sunday. So he only has Princess Tenko in here. Okay. I was so high on Princess Tenko in that last out. Jocelyn's in a better spot anyway Sunday. I thought Princess Tenko was going to win just because of the drop, because this was a horse competitive against the Lowndes Company. Yeah. But really, you get back to that race on May 5th, that's the race you want. That was the race where the horse had Mohica in the saddle, ran a good race, around 2 turns, and rated close to the pace. And I think everything you get is going to happen here. So Patty Gal probably goes in this spot. Somewhere at the spot probably goes. I think Princess Tenko just gets a beautiful tracking trip. First run on the late closers, and doesn't have as much work to do as you see this one was left to do in those sprint races, and ran some pretty decent sprints. I just think around 2 turns, that's going to be the game changer for this racehorse.
Yeah, I think that horse has a big shot tomorrow. One last question. I'm going to wrap it up, Jim. I think this is really important. Please tell everyone when Hawthorne ends. And the reason I want to bring that up, I'd be very cautious for those of you that are handicapping Hawthorne of trainers that are going to sort of squeeze the lemon too dry, trying to get that last race or two in at the meet. It's something I pay attention to the last few weeks of every meet, Jim. Can you just talk about when the meet ends and your thoughts on my comment right there?
I mean, that's a good comment. We go to the second week of October, and then all of a sudden things turn over in a matter of 72 hours for a harness meet. So you're right. Anybody that's based in Illinois that's not going to a winter destination, and there's a lot of people. I mean, there's 500-600 horses worth that'll probably stay and just turn out. They're going to run in spots either where they're coming back quickly on a week's rest, where they're coming back in maybe a spot that isn't the right spot, where they're coming back as a two-turn horse and that race didn't go, so you have to go in a sprint. So you really have to watch that stuff. And it's something that I'll focus on when I make my selections online, that it's something just, you have to look at intent for a lot of these racehorses. And then you'll see the people like a Chris Block or an Eduardo Rodriguez or Hugo Rodriguez or Hugh Robertson that are going down to Fairgrounds or maybe to Tampa. Those people will kind of just be able to stay on their normal routine. So if you look and say, okay, it's someone that's really based in Illinois most of the time, year-round. And when I'm talking about that, I mean, Manny Perez has a lot of horses here in Illinois that pretty much stay in Illinois. D. Polis has horses that pretty much stay in Illinois. Some of those barns, Frank Kirby, Mike Rivas, they're going to try to get those last few starts in and go pretty quickly, and it may not be at the perfect spot. So, yeah, you definitely have to watch out for that, because there's times, and sometimes it works out, but a lot of times, yeah, they may not be spotted just right, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Look, I've had a lot of fun this year at Hawthorne, Jim, and I'm looking forward to that Sunday. And when you want my picks and opinions on Sunday, there's two ways to do it. First, subscribe to our Power Picks tip sheet, because I talk about Hawthorne on the Power Picks tip sheet for the Sunday late pick 4, or you can go on to the great website, hawthorneracehorse.com, and you can see my picks there. Jim, it's been a lot of fun. Greatly appreciated. Looking forward to a fun week, and it was great to chop it up with you again. For my wonderful friends and co-hosts, Patrick Kunzel and Charlie Freeman, and in honor of Kyle Roscoe, let's see if I get this right. Crush those bets, win those photos, and stay safe, everyone. Have a great night. Pacific Horse Players coming on in half an hour live here on Wednesday night. Debut show, Noah Maher, Ryan Anderson. Take care, everyone. Crush your bets at Hawthorne and at Churchill. Take care. Good night.